One, I'm gonna be on it for only a half hour. Get it what you can. About to go in today. Thank you for coming in, for the check-in. Thank you everybody for coming in real quick. I don't do a late night, but I'm gonna do a pop-up tonight. And I'm gonna talk about the difference between a man and a woman. When a man has it all, and the difference between when a man has it all and a woman don't got none, and the difference when a woman has it all and a man don't got nothing to offer. What is the differences and what is the comparisons? Touch on that topic. Whoever's with me on it, elaborate. I'm about to go in on y'all. Hey Rose, thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. Hey Diane, thank you for coming in. Whoever's with me on it real quick, I want to touch on that topic. That's what I want to touch on today. The difference between when a man has it all and when a woman has it all. We're going to see the difference here. And I want to see women's perspective on this too. So please feel free to participate. I'm going to go in just a little bit. And I'm a little on the frustrated side because I was on the phone for customer service for an hour and a half. So excuse me if I come off a little too harsh tonight ahead of time. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for coming in. So like I was saying, today's topic is what's the difference between a man has it all and the way a man would treat a woman, and the difference when a woman has it all and the way she treats him as an option. She becomes the puppet master. When a woman has it, she doesn't mind. Depending on the mentality. It depends on the mentality, right? Hey D. It depends on the mentality because, all right, let's go in, right? Since you threw the first ball. When a man has it all, he's cautious and he watches her every move. He's studying her, giving her freedom to do whatever she wants, right? At the same time, he's watching to see her actions. Her actions is going to dictate where he's going to place her on his scale. See, a man would take what you women would say a peasant. I'm going to go and make her a queen. Well, I don't like to use the terminology queen because I know the definition behind that, and it's not the greatest definition. A man would take a peasant and make her a goddess. That's the right, accurate terminology, to be honest with y'all. Do your homework behind the queen. That's an insult. It's not a badge of honor to be called the queen. It's the most insult you could be. It's an insult, plain and simple, right? But a woman who has it all, and I'm talking about financially, stability, but it's right. It doesn't really make sense because at the end of the day, the two won't even be on the same vibe. They won't be on the same frequency. But I just want to use it as a example. A guy would take a woman, dust her off, wash her up, clean her up. He'll dress her down, make her into a superstar, but a woman wouldn't invest into a man. I know one woman, or a woman who did that for a friend of mine personally. So I've seen it where a woman has it all, took a man, and made him a king. I've seen it. So I don't say it doesn't exist. I seen it firsthand. And this is a friend that's been hard in the street. Nah, I actually just got on, Lucy. About maybe 5 minutes ago. So you're not that late. This is a pop-up. This is a random pop-up. I would have been on earlier only because I was on customer service for an hour and a half or whatever. I don't agree. I invested everything in my ex-husband. You see, now that happens too. I'm not even going to disregard that. Hold on. That does happen where women do invest into a man. It's almost like you brushed him off, polished him, and you set him on his way to another woman. So that goes to show sometimes, a lot of times, I believe a successful man, there's a strong woman behind him. He's not. Men are logical thinkers, right? So we move with our mentality. Women are moved through their heart, emotions. For some reason, that's stronger than mentality. Mentality will always talk you out of your dreams. Mentalities will have you double doubt yourself and question if you're worthy, if you have what it takes. It will second guess you, and it will talk you out of your making a lot of choices and talking you out of your own, to see if you even have the value and good enough to do something, right? But a heart is moved by intuition. And when you know how to drive your intuition, you're unstoppable, in my book. Some might not agree. I believe that women are stronger mentally, emotionally, and it's a balance, right? It depends on the individual because everybody is different. Ain't no two persons are alike. That's why your fingerprints are different. Even to your eye identity is different. But that's a whole nother topic. In reference to what your husband did, that's ungratefulness. Because, and applause to you for taking someone, polishing them up, and making him a better version. But then sometimes, do you become resentful? Do you become bitter behind that? Or do you allow that the person needed your expertise to be polished and to be made into a king, and off your signature, he wouldn't be where he's at today if it wasn't for you. So at the end of the day, anything that he's accomplished or anything he ever achieves has your name attached to it. So sometimes you got to see things from a different perspective. Sometimes people don't know what they do to others. And not to excuse it, right? Because maybe he's seen that growing up being done. Maybe he has uncles, father, some male figure. He's seen that happen or seen do it where he feels like that's acceptable. So a lot of times men, we do things off of what we see being done around us. Hey Remy. Almost called you out. Sometimes we see. I literally just got on at 9 o'clock. I'm only gonna be on here for a quick minute. Sometimes men see what goes on, and we feel like that's acceptable because we've seen everybody else do it, which is becoming the new woman today, right? The woman today is the new hustler. She's the new go-getter. She's the one the breadwinner. She's the provider. But she's not the protector. Women are stepping into their masculine because they're forced to. And a woman is not meant to be a protector. She's meant to be in her heart, which is her emotions, in her heart. Man is supposed to protect the heart. Man's supposed to protect the woman. Man is supposed to provide. The woman is supposed to be the emotional provider in that sense. And this is where disconnection comes in, right? Because sometimes women are always too busy nurturing the child. And then when all the sex goes away, the disconnection starts. And the man's eyes start to linger outside the house. and he starts to look for that attention, for that compassion, for that nurturing woman that he was getting from the baby moms, now becomes the baby mother, right? He was getting that attention, he was getting that nurture, he was getting that love. Now the baby gets it. Is it selfish? I feel like there's always time, there's always a way, there's not always have to be an excuse to avoid connection. I feel like there should always be connection, conversation, communication, chemistry. And like I saw a video earlier today that said that love is a choice, right? So you gotta constantly be investing in what you believe is worth, that has worth. If you don't invest in something, if you don't put in the time, if you don't put in the energy, so what do you expect you're gonna get out of? You don't get nothing for you don't get something out of nothing. A lot of people think that you're gonna create something out of thin air. It starts actually here. If you believe it, you expect it, you attract it, you manifest it and create it. You are the creator of everything that ever exists, and people are just a reflection of the internal trauma, the internal hurt, the internal unforgiveness, the internal triggers that you have. These triggers are wounds that you need to heal from. Now, the wounds need to be healed only so that you can progress and level up to the next level, which always becomes a test, a challenge, an opposition, an obstacle. It's a course, right? But we're always on a run. Let me shut up for a second. let that marinate. But there's women, and I have no bitter, no resent, no nothing towards women or men. I'm just exposing the experiences that I personally had and I've seen growing up. I was raised by women, so I got the cleanliness, the OCD, I got the structure. You got to keep your house, everything in order. Everything has to be organized. So I have a lot of female traits because I grew up with nothing but surrounded by strong-minded, strong, strength-wise women. But I had uncles, one in particular who was extremely rough around the edges with me. So did I grow up rough? I'll give you one example. And this is at the age of 5 years old. Butt naked. Ankles to wrist, tied behind your back. Blindfolded. Got a bandana in your mouth. You're thrown into a closet in the dark with no one to help you or save you. That's when I knew that I was always going to be alone. Like I know who's going to save me. I always wanted my mom or my grandmother to save me, but nobody was coming to save me. And I learned from then I had to toughen up. I had to learn how to toughen up because when my great grandmother left me in the store at 5 years old, I had to figure out how to get home. So there's stories and events that happen, and I don't look at it with resentment. I look at it was lessons that were teaching me how to be strong-minded, how to be independent, how to... A lot of the exposures that I had at a young age was nothing but teaching lessons for me. But back to women and men. It's enough about myself. It's not about me. This is about y'all tonight. How many women can say that they would take something that doesn't have... He's not at his top game, right? He's not at the best. But y'all will invest, besides the one that... I don't remember your name, I'm sorry. That you invested into your husband and he abandoned you. Now, how do you feel in reference to that? Like, unpack that. How does that make you feel emotionally? And, like, be honest with yourself. You don't have to put it out there and blast with everybody. If you're listening, Just think about it and take a moment in time. If there is resentment, if there is bitterness, if there is a little anger or frustration, you got to make peace with that and let that go. Because all that does is block energy for you to flow. So if you can't flow, you can't receive. If you can't receive, you're basically, this is what you're doing, right? This is what blockage really does. You hold on to a grudge, you hold on to anger, you hold on to bitterness. Remember, the tighter you hold on, you don't have your hand open to receive. But when you let go of all those negative emotions, when you let go of all that energy, all that negative baggage, you open the hand for the universe to deposit, to place into your hand, because your hand is in a position of receiving. So if you're in a position of receiving, you're actually manifesting. But it takes action. You got to be able to come up with a plan, a blueprint. You got to put time and energy. So you got to invest in the dream, your vision, your passion, your purpose, your destiny is the end call result, right? But once you reach that destiny, that's only ground foundation. That's ground zero. Because from here is only winning up. But men usually will invest in a woman. Timeless. Hello, Emily. Think I don't know. Um, for the most part, women will not invest into a man as much as a man will invest into a woman. A man will constantly study his woman and see her actions, and that will determine if she's solid or not. But a woman would treat a man like if he was an option and not become priceless or worthy or worth some, right? But it all depends on the individual and how they treat each other. So it's a dance. Love is always a dance, is the way you two are constantly paying attention to each other's needs, connection, again, communication. That communication, that chemistry, choice, deciding and making the choice that love exists between the both of y'all. That becomes a song. The song becomes the drum. The drum becomes the rhythm of your heart. That's a song that y'all both sing to each other, but that's a whole nother level. I'm not even gonna get into that one. We're just basically trying to talk on, would you, as a female, would you invest into a man? And as a man, most men would invest into a woman. But what I've seen lately too, some women expect and have a high demand with a high standard and high expectation, but then don't bring nothing to the table. That's a little dumbfounding to me. Like, how you expect to come with an empty hand, but you want your hand to be full from the other person's hard work, right? So, and back to you, divine masculine requires balance. I believe in that too. Like, it has to be both. You have to have masculine and feminine. Masculine is basically logical thinking, logic. It's the mind. The feminine is the heart. And the balance between the two, but usually the heart is full of treasure, right? The heart has all the dreams, and it kind of has to be envisioned into the mind. The mind believes it, but then your pride or your ego or your doubt or your fears will come in and try to destroy it. Yeah. Remy being quiet today. What happened? Women, it's time to start to be open. Open up your chakras, open up your heart, open up your mind. We need to stop being closed-minded. It's not about who's who and who has what. It's about connection, man. We got to get back to the foundation of connection and communication to be comprehensive in understanding the other person's perspective. Walk in their shoes for about 2 miles just to understand their heartache, their pain, their struggles, their fears, their worries, their dreams, their visions. You got to have an operation of all, right? Access to all. Thank you. You don't know the new me. I'm very, very surprised. And we have a long history. You were my foundation. Oh shit. I'm sorry. Disregard that. Thank you. Well, it's just trying to give a little exposure, right? Because I've come a long way from a lot of experiences, and I've had a lot of situations what I've been through, and I've learned a lot from myself, from a lot of defaults, a lot of mistakes, a lot of challenge. It was a lot of challenges and a lot of things I had to change about myself, starting with my mind and learning how to drop into my heart, because I was cold-hearted. I was numb. I was taught to never feel, because a man is not supposed to feel, because when a man feels, he's technically supposed to considered to be weak. That's a weak sign, right? We're not supposed to bend, fold, or break for no one. Yes, that was a long history and never forgotten. Great memories. I'm not even speak on it, but yes, foundation. And those were my ground zeros, right? Because, and publicly, I will apologize for my stupidity from the past. The mistakes that I've made, and there were mistreatments in how I handled certain situations, right? And I wasn't the ideal. How can I word it without blowing stuff up? I wasn't the ideal partner per se, right? And I failed an individual in multiple ways, and I handled certain situations in a childish manner, but I didn't know any better. So publicly, I apologize, right? But it was definitely the opening of my heart at the time, and it's been a long journey. I've dove into my heart, which actually allowed me to open into my soul, which becomes the connection of discovering who I truly am, not knowing, not realizing who I've been designed to be, but now I have an idea, and the path has just been prepared. This went totally off topic, which always happens, right? But basically, all I'm trying to say is we need to get back to the foundation of communication. Communication, besides that, is having chemistry. Chemistry is having connection, and connection is having the ability where you're understanding who you're dealing with, in the sense that you try to put your mind in their mind, see through their eyes, feel through their heart, walk through their shoes. If you can do all of these things, you're going to understand your partner from another level. You're going to understand that significant, who you call to be your soulmate, right? Because a lot of people confuse soulmates. Now we're about to get into something serious. A lot of people confuse their soulmates to be their soulmate because they come from a history of toxic history, right? That you have a history of toxic relationships from the past. Now, when it doesn't look familiar and it looks boring, is when a lot of women tend to disconnect and disregard and dismiss a situation because he doesn't look familiar, and familiar looks toxic. One who treats you in a harsh manner. One who cheats, If he doesn't do some of the negative qualities, it doesn't look familiar, it doesn't feel like home, and you consider that to be a soulmate. And you wonder why you could keep on repeating the same boyfriend in a different body. It's the same person, just has a different look, different body, same attitude, same characteristics, same individual. Well, not the same individual, but it's dressed in the same manner. What's appealing to you because it looks familiar to you. You got to learn how to dig deeper than just the surface mount, right? We got to learn how to connect. It's a soul tie. You bring back all that negative baggage. You're exchanging energy. You're exchanging soul ties. You're sharing a part of you, but you're leaving a part of you behind. You're leaving parts of you when it comes to the mentality, it comes to your dreams, when it comes to your vision, when it comes to your destiny, when it comes to your heart, when it comes to your soul. All of these things are being deposited with everybody you have sexually interactions with. I'm going on another celibacy, straight up, for the year 2024. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I want to get my mind right. I want to focus again. I want to recalibrate and have moments of emotions with myself, because I need to refine and recalibrate so that I could get into a deeper conversation with y'all. And I'm still new to this, so I'm just warming up when it comes to picking an individually topic. Again, a goddess, a woman, because I don't consider women queens. I'm sorry, that's like degrading to me. And just so those who don't know what a queen is the king's whore. The terminology has been taught to you so you can continue to call yourself that, but in degrading yourself publicly. But those who know the true meaning, they laughing at y'all behind your back, to be honest with you. But then you see certain people who call themselves goddess. They're aware, maybe, I'm not sure. And that's why I have the king tatted on my arm, right? King, meaning I was born a king. I was born with authority. I was born with royalty. But I live as a god, right? The god meaning, for me, is the same God that created the whole... Hey, Sonia. The God who created the whole universe, who gave us existence, right? Because I believe we're just a hybrid, which is an alien experiment. Some are going to get offended with that one. If you only knew the truth behind that. And I don't want to go there, because that's a whole different vibration, and it'll just blow your mind. You think E.T. is an accident? You think Star Wars is an accident? Just think about the movies alone. Hey, Marty. Just alone, right? Let me give you food for thought real quick. Your news is all false illusions and false informations with lies. Your movies are predictions of what's about to happen in your real world. The movies is your real news. Your news is false information. They're only pumping fear so they can continue to control y'all. I don't watch the news. My news come from a book. But what time is it? Oh, man, I'm about to go into overtime. I'm not trying to stay on here too long. So, nah, they're not ready for all that money. You know you can pick that brain. What book? I'm about to show you. Give me a second. This one. And I just ordered a new book from my favorite author. Personally, she's sending it to me, and it's signed by her. I don't care to invest when it comes to my mentality or my spirituality, right? With a friend of mine's help, I've learned to not care anymore where it comes to what's more important, my soul, my heart, my or experiences, or compare it to a tattoo, right? For me, the tattoo has more meaning for me because I can see it, right? Forever. I can't lose it. I can't erase it. It can't be taken away. But memories, after I die, I leave this suit behind, right? Memories are embedded into my soul. They're written. They're the signatures of people who have been written on the tablet of my heart. Those are the impressions. Those are the memories I take with me once I depart from the earth. Because this is just being a transition from one transition to the next. Right? So, man, I don't even want to get into that deep today. I was just trying to say what's the difference between a man and a woman. When a woman who has everything, who's financially stable, who's mentally prepared, who's has it all, right? She's stable, and the guy is not stable. But would a woman invest into a man, polish him up? We have one situation where someone's husband cheated on them, left them after he came up, which sucks because then that gives you the mindset of a fear that you second guess and you doubt every relationship after that, which is traumatizing. So now she's scarred for life, and she might be, what you call that? Scorn. That's the word. Right? So she could be a scorned woman, and now she's walking around maybe with a grudge on, maybe with resentment, maybe a little bitterness, maybe some anger, maybe, just maybe, she's broken. And if she's broken, as it just, the only way to release that thing is through forgiveness. To be honest with you, the biggest way I've healed personally, how I healed, is I wrote a letter to every individual, all the way down to my mom, all the way to my present person that I've experienced, and I wrote a letter and I expressed my feeling, but I expressed first my hatred, my anger, my resent, anything that I had that was unvocalized, that wasn't spoken, and I just poured my heart out and my anger and everything, all my emotions onto those papers. And some of those letters, with tears in my eyes, I was writing still. As I wrote, those tears were actually healing. Didn't know it then. I just thought I was getting emotional behind it. But those were, I was releasing and letting go and actually forgiving and accepting forgiveness for myself. Even though it doesn't have to be spoken to the other person, it doesn't have to be given to the other person, it just have to be done so you can see it. You can actually, you'll see the vibration behind it, because you're pouring a part of you into this paper, and you're releasing, and you're releasing all those emotions, that baggage, and you pour it onto that, and you're gonna see how light you feel after that, how much peace comes from that, how much, damn, like, there's a lot that comes behind healing. And healing is a process, because, yeah, I know, I remember I was there. Yeah, that too, Marty. Right? Because releasing a lot of that negative energy, or that it's like a blockage. It's like clogged arteries, right? The blood can't flow. It's like your blessings can't flow. It's the same concept. If you look at the body and if you look at energy and everything that comes, it all intertwines and it all connects. It all makes sense. But people are just narrow minded, right? Like we just have focus on today, and like, are you living in the moment? Or are you so worried and backed up on the history, on the past, or you're too ahead of yourself and worried about the future? How many of y'all can actually say, yo, I'm smelling the flowers, I'm looking around, I'm actually engaging and interacting with the people around me who I truly love? Because you might not have tomorrow to be alive. You might not wake up. They say there's so many thousands of people who wake up tomorrow morning, right? And you realize, damn, I'm blessed. But some of us take that for granted, don't even acknowledge it, and disregard it and keep it moving. Like, yeah, we expect to see tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna be here tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. How many of you can say, yo, I'll see you tomorrow when you leave work? Or there's certain people that you see and you call them and you hang up. Every night before I go to sleep, I was like, if you allow me, sometimes, I don't say it all the time, but I thank God every time I hit the floor in the morning, the first thing, and before I walk out my door. Thank you, walk with me. Thank you for another day. Thank you for allowing me to be your messenger, right? Allow me to have access and have the wisdom that surpasses my intellectuality, because I don't consider myself that smart. And that might come from the conditioning I grew up with, right? I grew up in a household where I was told I wasn't too smart. And the reason why I was compared to my mom, because my mom had a high IQ. My mom she went to a school, put it like this, they had 28 awards. She walked away with 26. She missed 2 awards. Out of the 28, she came home with 26. So the IQ of my mom is like beyond what the family normally has seen, right? And I'm the son compared to that, and I'm failing all my classes. I am nowhere near matching my mom, and I'm looking and they're comparing me and saying, "Yo, you dumb. Like you're dumb. You're the dumb one in the family." And that's what I was called. That was considered. That's what I was looked at. I'm still labeled and looked at as that because I don't reveal this part of me to them, because I feel like they're gonna be judgmental and try to knock it before they see it. I'd rather let them see my fruit publicly, not. But there's times sporadically I be giving them some wisdom, and they're looking at me like, "Yo, where did you learn that from? Like, what book you reading?" But they do know I have a library. That I know, because my daughter's very vocal and expressive of what happens in my household. But I don't mind that. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is, a lot of times people will try to label you, and you walk around with a label in your mind thinking that you're not worthy of. You don't have what it takes. You feel like you're insufficient. You feel like you're not worthy of. You're not worth it. You don't have any value. You don't have anything to offer. And let me tell you, those are all fucking lies. All that is lies. Those are just signs to tell you, just flip it on the opposite side. It's like a coin, right? You got the heads and the tail. So let's say if somebody throws a negative at you, just flip it. Every time you hear something negative, just flip it. Because it's actually the total opposite. And that's how I learned how to decode it, dissect it, flip it, and what's the opposite meaning of it. That's what I'm gonna take it away as. Too many people are worried about other people instead of themselves. You know that's right. Too many people are worried about what someone else is doing. It's because when you can take the focus off of you and you can put that light on someone else and make them look like if you can make them look lower, and you calibrate them on a lower level, that's what it is what people really do is they push people down so they can look better and higher than them. That's all it really is. So at the end of the day, people will constantly point fingers when there's four pointing back at themselves, but one is pointing that way. I feel like there's no reason to judge nobody because ain't nobody perfect. Who's perfect on this month? Ain't nobody in this room, nobody in this earth. Everybody's learning at their own pace on their own level. No one is outsmarter than the other because we're all tapping into the unlimited intellectuality, which is the divine wisdom. Infinite wisdom. So we're all tapping into that same line, just on a different level, depending on how much you sit in it, depending on how much you invest in yourself, because everything is found within you. All the answers you ever look for are found inside of you. Anything you ever need, if you just sit in silence, this is what you people are afraid of, right? A lot of people are afraid to sit by themselves, alone, closured, in a bubble by yourself. And that's how you're going to find your true self, your true essence, your true divinity. And that's how you come in contact and connect and realize who you truly are. Is when you can sit in silence, you're going to get your answers. But a lot of people can't sit in silence because they need a distraction, because they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear what they need to do, what they need to work on, or who they need to call to say, yo, forgive me, I'm sorry, or write that letter, or apologize to that person that you insulted. Today, for example, I was on the phone for an hour and this was the most annoying call I ever been on. An hour and a half trying to call Coinbase, and they could not verify my account. I have my ID, I have my bank information, I have everything in their mother. And then they brought it to higher authority, and they said, we'll get back to you. After an hour and a half, we'll get back to you, and we're going to look and investigate your account. I told the lady, are you serious? I just wasted an hour and a half of my time, and we still didn't even solve the issue. I lost it a couple of times. I lost it on her. But at the end of the phone call, this is what I did. I said, Jade, listen, I just want to say I apologize if I came out of character. It's not because of you, because I've seen that you made the effort to help me and try to solve my issue. But at the end of the day, I lost my character, and I just want to apologize for losing my cool. I apologize because I lost my cool because I was being frustrated because of the situation that you cannot handle and I couldn't resolve at the same time. But I still have an issue at hand. So I just wanted to say I apologize. And she was like, no, it's okay. I was just trying to help. I was like, yeah, I didn't want to be a dick. I didn't want her to hang up that phone and be like, that was a piece of work. But I had to express and explain myself and let her know where I was coming from. I said, your app. I didn't blame her specifically, but I blamed her company. Right? Because I was like, your app has been rejecting my ID for months. This is why I cannot continue. And I explained to her, and I pinpointed exactly when it happened. I said, when you guys opened up Coin Wallet, it just wouldn't accept my ID for whatever reasons. But anyway, I apologized to her, and I said, listen, I'm sorry. I don't want you to, because sometimes you can stain someone. Sometimes you could stain someone with your words, right? Because my actions was almost coming at her, like slapping her, right? And I checked myself before I hung that phone up, because I got the impression before she was saying, okay, is there anything else that I can do for you? And I was like, and I heard this, like if I could hear that TV, apologize. Me, I learned how to put my pride aside of the way nowadays, because before I would be like, hell no, it'll be a debate. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to, why should I apologize? She didn't solve my problem. She didn't solve my issue. Why should I apologize? But at the end of the day, my spirit, man, it don't let me rest. So I just quickly like, oh, listen, I just want to take a moment and I just want to apologize because, I acted in some type of manner. I'm sorry I lost my cool after 45 minutes being on the phone with you. And that's when I started to raise my voice and say, well, how come we can't get to the bottom of this issue? But anyway, that's just an example. That's just an example. Thank you. Let me tell you what she was for me. That was a lesson. Let's break it down. She was a lesson for me because my two weaknesses right now is patience and my temper, which both came out and I kind of expressed it to her. But then I had to apologize and check myself in the mix of that whole conversation. After an hour and a half, really? Like, you didn't get to the bottom of my situation. You didn't solve my issue. You didn't. So my spirit had just told me apologize before I hung up. So I listened. Now yesterday was another test, right? I can pinpoint where my tests come from, like where they at, where they going on, what's happening with whom. I was in the gym. Yesterday was Valentine's to all of those here, sorry. But well, thank you. I just felt like it was the right thing to do. No matter man or woman or whatever. It was a lady that was on the phone. Yeah, I do know. I know that. That's for sure. Um, so yesterday's test, right? I'm in the gym, leg day. I'm killing myself. Those who know me, anybody, any body part that I work on, I give it my all. I drain myself. I'm in the gym for 3 hours. On the weekends, 3.5 hours. For the most part, I'm in the gym during the week, anywhere 2.5 to 3 hours in a day. So just imagine the intensity, the hard work, the ethic that I put into my craft and into my mind and my body, because I try to resist and always try to go against the grain when it comes to thank you. Here. I'm just kidding. When it comes to me challenging myself, because I'm always look at my gym sessions as life lessons. So I see my gym sessions as life lessons. And I leave the gym with the same mentality when I go experience life. So am I going to break? Am I going to bend? Am I going to fold? Or am I going to give it my all? And every time I'm learning how to give it my all the time. So yesterday's lesson. I'm in the gym. I get a text from my aunt 25 minutes before my daughter gets out of school. And I'm in the middle of leg day. Do I leave the gym and it takes me about the same amount of time to get to my daughter, or do I tell, because the option was either I pick her up or text my baby moms and ask her, you got to pick her up. She literally lives on the same block as the school. It doesn't make any sense to leave the gym when she lives on the same block as the school. So I'm not going to leave the gym and I'm in the middle of my session of my therapy to go pick up my daughter when the mother lives on the same block as the school. So I texted her, I said, listen, I'm not going to be able to make it. Can you pick her up? Because I did that, my daughter, I know it was and no offense to my baby moms, but sometimes when she doesn't get her way, she kind of conditions and kind of manipulates the situations and tells my daughter to act a certain manner towards me, where that becomes a challenge, that becomes a little frustrating. But then at the end of the day, I don't let it get to me too much, but there are sporadic moments that it does get to me. So that's a challenge within itself, but it's a process that I've healed from so deep, so much, because I had a lot of resentment, I had a lot of anger, I had a lot of bitterness, I had a lot of hatred towards my daughter's mom. But I let a lot of that go. Like, now I have nothing but peace. I give her advice. I end up becoming her therapist sometimes in conversations that just, she opens up and I just give her advice. And I wish her the best because that's my daughter's mom. So whatever, that's going to affect my daughter at the long run. That's not, So whatever is best and what happens for her, it kind of gets processed down to my daughter, so it has an effect. So I want the best for her so that she could be the best version of herself for my daughter, because that's an example. Peace is always the best thing. What? Are you kidding me? Don't disturb my peace. Ain't nothing worth disturbing my peace. But now back to that other one, right? Now back to the challenge, the situation with my I walk into grandma's house after the gym. This is about an hour and a half later after my gym session that my daughter came out of school. I get to my grandmother's house. First thing my grandmother does, she presses the button as soon as she sees me. And the button is the trigger, right? She triggers. She tries to. It's like a bully, pushing your buttons, waiting for me to react. I learned to master that button. I took the button away from her a long time ago, because I don't give my power away to anybody. Like, I'm not gonna lower myself and then interact and engage and entertain your nonsense. So I saw my grandmother. She's flipping out and asking me why I didn't pick up my daughter. And I said, listen, I tried to call her when I was walking here. I was going to pick her up. She told me no. She said she's busy doing homework. What am I supposed to do? Am I going to force my daughter to come home, to come see us, spend time with us? You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Anybody read that right there? She knows personally my grandmother. Personally on. Let them know, Emily. Hi, Daisy. Let them know, Emmy. My grandmother was never easy, and she will intimidate you, bully you, and she'll look at just her look alone. Just her look alone will intimidate a lot. The typical, even the tough guy, even the toughest person in the room. I will put my grandmother in front of a tough guy and be like, go ahead, I dare you. But what's going to happen, the beast in me is going to come out, because I'm going to defend her to the death. The death of me is going to be, that was a car accident within itself. So anyway, I'm not going to get into that car accident. So she's trying to push my buttons, right? As I'm walking through I barely open it. Where's your daughter? I'm like, hi to you too. Good afternoon. I do the greeting situation, so I try to ease the little tension, right? How come you never pick up your daughter? And she goes at me. She goes off. You never want to spend time with her. Today's Valentine's. I said, it's not me. I try. I made the call. I asked, can I pick you up? She tells me no. She shuts me down. I felt rejected, right? This is my daughter. You don't want to spend time with me on Valentine's, right? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm trying to cultivate a bond. I make the effort and I reach all the time. I always try to pick her up. I try to spend time with her. I try to teach her. I got her doing breath work when she comes to my house. Yeah. Just imagine. She left an impression on you. Imagine having to deal with her for 45 years. Well, 40 years for me. Because I didn't live with her till I was 5. 40 years been dealing with her. She ain't easy. So if my own daughter is rejecting me and pushing me away, and I feel some type of way, I feel like I'm not doing my part. But I know my daughter is being manipulated. She's being a puppet from the puppet master, right? The tranquilicus is the hand up her behind, and being told what to do and how to act. I know that's all an act and play, because I can see through the lines. I read always between the lines. I can see through words what is the intention and where it's coming from. But do I allow that to steal my peace? It's not worth it. And then coming into my grandmother's house, and she starts to engage and try to push those buttons, I don't give my power away. I'd rather choose peace over war. Peace is much more power, you being in power, than engaging into a war. And I've gotten into wars with my grandmother. battlefield, the words of exchange that's not cute. And so, but I love my grandmother to the death of me. She knows that. She knows it. She knows how I've gotten down for her already. So, put it like this: I've been in jail already for her. It don't matter. And that was in my 20s. She's seen me in action in my 30s. She knows now that I'm more of a calm, tame type of guy. Yeah, remember Tiny? And this is right here, a resemblance, a remembrance of Tiny, the same face. Tiny walks with me in some type of shape or form. Tiny was the best though. Tiny saved my. Tiny is a dog. It was a chow chow I used to have, and he saved my life a whole bunch of times from other dogs coming to attack us, because they were really coming for him, but they saw that I was with him, so they got to take the owner and the dog out. And he was a vicious dog, and I have partial blame for that dog's temper. Because whenever I would get my ass kicked or I have to do something, I would take my frustration, my anger. I didn't know any better. I would hit the dog for all the shit that I had to go through, what I've been through. And he was like my punching bag, and I have so much regret behind that. Because he didn't deserve that. It was just a dog. Like, it's not his fault. He don't have nothing to do with nothing. And here I am, an ignorant, childish teenager, taking out my energy into a dog. Like, but one thing I can say about him, he protected me even when I got into those street fights, and he was with me. But there was a lot of growth between those years from then to now. He was a totally different, transformed person today than back then. But those are memories, and it shows me when I look back and I reflect and I say, wow, look at how far I've come. Yeah, it was open wounds per se, right? That's leaking blood out, and there's nowhere to patch it, but it's just constantly pouring blood out of it. How do I stop it? And fear and worry come in, and you took your frustration out on that individual, the closest one to you. And it's crazy how a lot of times it's always the closest circle to you that you end up hurting, which becomes a regret. And that regret, right, ends up becoming a distant memory where you feel sorry, but you feel bad about how you act. And then you start to learn how to take accountability. You take accountability as being responsible. Being responsible shows that maturity. After maturity is where you learn how to know the how you say that word? Differentiate the difference between right and wrong. And when you're wrong, you know how to just act out and apologize and forgive and forget. Like, always holding a grudge is not no good for you. So those are 2 days of lessons constantly. If you know and you learn how to start to decipher and realize that you're being tested regularly. You're being tested on a regular day basis with every person where you feel like you're about to arouse and you're about to explode. See those people as your triggers, as they being exposed to you, so you can work on those areas. Again, my temper and patience was tested today. Yesterday I passed, but today I kind of like failed, but at the end I made it up at the end of the conversation with the customer rep, where I apologized and I said, I just want to apologize. I'm sorry that I lost my cool, I lost my temper, I lost my character, and I apologize for that. You know, because it wasn't her fault. In reality, you know, she was doing her job. She don't care. She's there for 8 hours, and here I am trying to rush to get on here because I didn't want to be here for too long. And I kind of like lost my cool with her. But I'm about to get off. I just want to say thank you. Always, I'm always going to acknowledge it. And when I think of you, I think about that situation in front of the building with the car. And the first thing you said, I'm crazy for jumping in that man's car and not knowing him. And my response to you was, I don't care. Because when I want to get my point across, I will do what I got to do. Even if it means our life is on the line, but I got my point across. I don't think like the typical person. I think like a nut, but at the same time, I have logical thinking with emotional, in the mix of the element, right? I'm still got a lot to grow out of, but at the same time, I've come a long way. So there's a lot of times where you have to take acknowledgement and give yourself a pat on the back and acknowledge how far you've come. Because if you don't celebrate your small victories, you're never going to feel accomplished in anything you do. And if you don't take the time to celebrate, how are you ever going to feel like you accomplished anything? And when you recognize how far you've come and how much you changed and how much of the transformation that you have evolved into the person that you are today, it just shows you who you become. And are you becoming the best version of yourself? Are you becoming the better you? Are you becoming your highest self, right? Are you doing the work? Are you asking for forgiveness? Are you healing? Are you letting go of the anger? Letting go of the resentment? Letting go of any negative emotions you may have or feelings or thoughts? Because you got to release all of that in order to engage and interact with your blessings to come back around full circle. But anyway, we went totally off topic for what I was trying to say. Nowhere near what I was trying off the topic today. Emily, thank you. All that love right back at you. Never to be forgotten. And that was the first love. But I'm about to sign off. I gotta take a shower. And it's gonna be a 4-day weekend for me. So I don't have to get up too early, but I'm going to sleep early. I need that rest. Good night, mommy. Yeah, so just want to say thank you for everybody who stuck around and listened, those who engaged and interacted, and just want to appreciate, I want to acknowledge, honor, and appreciate. You didn't have to come in here and check on. You didn't have to, but I appreciate everybody that did. And everybody have a good night. I'm signing off.